Manchester United have had, well, arguably the worst season than Spurs, despite finishing higher because there was no trophy for Ruben Amorim's side. Interesting to hear what he had to say after the game. Beaten Villa by 2-0, finishing 15th in the table. And he did speak to the fans after the game. And he said, after this disaster season, I want to tell you, the good days are coming. If there is one club that has proven in the past they can overcome any situation, any disaster, it is our club. It is Manchester United. Well, are you inspired by those words?
Oh, I'm not sure about inspired, but it can't be any worse next year, can they? You know, they can't be any worse. They'll have to improve. There's obviously a few players' contracts up who leave. We go back to recruitment. They certainly need to get players in who know, I think, the Premier League. I think the majority of signings over the last 2 or 3 years are players who've never played in the Premier League, and they've struggled to adapt it, particularly when they brought so many players in. So I think they have to go back to basics and get some really good, proper, experienced players who know the Premier League and who are men and who are robust, who can turn up week in, week out and do a good job for Man United. I don't necessarily mean challenge for obviously league titles, but get Man United back up the table and competing every week.
Sorry, Roy, what do you mean by men? Because Chelsea have qualified for the Champions League with one of the youngest teams we've ever seen in the Premier League, average age of 24.
Yeah. What's your point?
So when you're saying men, are you talking about age and experience? What do you mean by that?
People who know the Premier League. I think when you bring so many players in from obviously from abroad who've not played the Premier League, I think it's a challenge. And I give Chelsea credit. They've rolled their sleeves up, and they were heavily criticised at the start of the season. But they've got players still in their group who've played in the Premier League. They might be still young and inexperienced in terms of being around for 10 years, but they know the Premier League. Man United, I think, have brought too many players in who don't know the league and who don't know how to turn up week in, week out. The one thing you want as a footballer or as a team you're playing with, you want people to kind of compliment you by saying you're hard to play against or you're hard to beat. United are easy to play against and they're easy to beat. To me, that's the biggest insult on this United group at the moment. And I'm just talking about getting Man United competing week in, week out, wherever that might take them. This group of players have shown this year with the amount of games they've lost and last year, I'm talking about league, they're not up to it. That's not going to change overnight. Whatever with the manager and the systems and having more time to work with the players, they need certain players to come in who know the league, and again, who are men, I played with men, lads who knew the league. So you could have good young players, of course, but you need to look at lads, particularly the spine of your team, and going, they'll turn up every week. They mightn't win every week, but they'll turn up and they'll be hard to beat. And United have to start competing. It's just...
He inferred, Jamie, as well, when he was talking to the fans, that he told everyone this storm was coming. He expected this because he almost could foresee the short-term pain this club needed to go through to make progress. Might they actually look back at this as the turning point in the Manchester United recent story? They have fewer games next season. There's obviously going to be an overhaul of the playing staff as well.
The problem is there's been a lot of turning points. You're always looking for something, But
perhaps previously they were looking for a short-term fix.
Yeah, short-term fix. Bringing
when now they're not.
They've
said, we'll take the pain.
And you've got to be aligned. I think that's the most important thing. They've got, Jason Wilcox. They've got a new CEO as well. Jason is undoubtedly knows the game. He understands what the success at Manchester City and what it takes. But it's going to take time. You can't look at that squad. I think what it tells you everything. When you look and go through that squad and think to yourself, how many of them would you not sell this summer? I think apart from Lenny Yoro, and it's purely because he hasn't been there that long and he's a young player, I think every single United player will be up for sale.
You'd sell Bruno?
I would right now, yeah. I would. And I'm a big fan. I know I think he's a game changer, but I think if the right money came about and you could then invest into the squad, and I think he is a good player. I think he's a top footballer. He was poor in midweek, but he has been their leading light this year. But if the right money were to come available and you could improve your squad, I would certainly take the right money.
I'm intrigued when I hear a manager say we're going to have less games, as if that guarantees success. Part of playing for a big club is more games.
Well, he hasn't said that. They were my words.
Right, OK, but I've heard that from other managers before, and he said it before himself. I've got a free week with the players I can work on, and then they don't back it up with a result, as if having a free week is always good for a football club. You want to be busy. You want to be playing football matches. That's where you learn. That's where you get your experiences. As if he's going to produce a magic wand to turn some of these players into top players because he's got a free week. That's bizarre in itself.
One thing I think we'll both agree on, Roy, they cannot get any lower than this. Surely, this is the it feels like something has to happen next season.
Mid-table next year.
Yeah. But if you look at what Forest have done this year, I mean, surely with United's squad, and if they invest right and bring in some good players and get the recruitment right.
The way you look at it, if you look at this United group of players, they still should be doing, as bad as they are, they still should be doing better.
Absolutely.
There's more in that squad to certainly get higher up the table.